Welcome to the party. I'm Sam Ekstrom of Locked On Sports Minnesota. Today we revisit our original 53-man roster. Boy, we had some curious decisions in there.
Hey, this is Arif Hassan from the Wide Left Substack. I did not arrange for a tropical storm to take Luke Braun out. Opinions are mixed on the earthquake.
I'm Luke Braun from Locked On Vikings. I do not believe Arif.
Luke Inman on Twitter at Luke_Spinman, and my preseason fantasy moves have been in total preseason form. Unrelated, Josh Oliver, you're cut off the tee.
That's all coming up on today's Minnesota Football Party.
Locked On Sports Minnesota Podcast. It's endless Minnesota Vikings talk with the diverse voices of your local experts. It's time for the Minnesota Football Party.
Welcome in, new week here on the Minnesota Football Party, Locked On Sports Minnesota. I'm Sam Ekstrom. You met Luke, and Arif. They complete the panel today. We talk Minnesota Vikings football endlessly for the next hour. Really glad you joined us today on YouTube for free, Locked On Sports Minnesota channel, or free and available wherever you get your podcasts, or the Amazon Fire, Roku, or Sirius XM apps. Check them all out. All good partners of ours. Plenty to get to on today's show. We're 48 hours removed from Vikings Titans. We've got 4 ups, 4 downs. Our main takeaways, positives, negatives from that preseason loss to Tennessee. We're going to revisit our original 53-man roster projection from 2 months ago and see how we're doing. We're also going to look ahead to the Arizona Cardinals joint practices, which begin on Wednesday. And also, the Vikings have signed a quarterback. What does that mean? We're going to discuss.
Kirk Cousins on notice.
Looking over his shoulder. Today's show brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. It's the official sportsbook partner of Locked On. Make every moment more. FanDuel.com/Locked On to get started. I think betting or fading the Vikings in the preseason, that's got to be the new lock of the century.
Yeah, you got to parlay, right? Fade the Vikes and then bet on the Ravens. What have they won, like 18 in a row, 21 in a row?
To 23? It's like a huge number. I didn't even realize, actually, this was happening. That's like Mike Zimmer on steroids in the preseason. Unbelievable. But that's all coming up on today's show. Let's go back to Saturday. Vikings lose to the Titans 24-16. I'll be honest, if I were power ranking like joint practice number 1, joint practice number 2, and the preseason game, I would say joint practice number 2 is the winner. Joint practice number 1, close behind. And then a big gap, and then the preseason game in terms of entertainment value. Wasn't a great game to watch. Vikings lose 24-16. Not a lot of guys played. And when I say not a lot of guys, I mean even a lot of backups didn't play in this game.
33 inactive Vikings, including a couple of injured guys. But 33.
I'm glad you had the number. And yeah, N'Keal Harry injured, and Najee Thompson got hurt right away, and wasn't great. But there's still plenty to discuss. We have winners, losers on an individual basis. Let's do a little 4 ups, 4 downs. Let's go around the circle. We'll start with Inman. Give me an up. Give me a positive, something you liked from the game to get us kicked off here.
I think the tight end room feels a lot more crowded all of a sudden. I'll say that. And I mean that in a good way. You got the big 3 at the top, and then Muse looking sharp again in game 2. And then Ben Sims and Colin Thompson both looked really solid, both blocking and in the passing game. In fact, they had the 2 highest offensive grades on the entire team per PFF. So I don't know. You think about KOC shift to more 2 and maybe 3 tight end sets, and all of a sudden it's not so crazy to think they'll keep not just 4 tight ends, but potentially maybe they try to sneak 2 more of these guys on the practice squad with Sims and Thompson, just the way they played Saturday night. But all in all, I will say, man, it was a very sluggish, dry game to find many positives from, Sam.
For me, the biggest riser of the night, and it might be too little too late, it's got to be Sheldon Day. What a game he had up front. He penetrated.
Yeah.
The Vikings did a lot of 5-man vanilla rushes, or 5-man rushes with like 1 stunt in them, which is a lot more vanilla than I think what you will see in games. But what it meant was a lot of one-on-ones, and Sheldon Day won a lot of those one-on-one matchups. And in terms of a faller, I hate to do this to you, Sam, but I think I got to go with Tristan Jackson, who slipped on a route and then he wasn't in the right spot. I think he had another failed completion. He had a rough game on. You're looking at me like you don't agree.
I'm just consternated. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear this.
Consternation phase.
That's a consternation phase. Yeah, no, I think it was a lot of. I'll give it to the wide receivers in general, honestly, because they all had moments of like either a failed completion or a bad moment there. The like whole second team room of wide receivers. Perhaps the biggest winner of that is N'Keal Harry, just by virtue of not playing while everybody else had a rough one.
Okay, we were gonna do it. We were gonna do like ups and then downs, but okay, all right, get the negativity out there.
I wasn't listening, so
fair enough. Yeah. Who am I?
By the way, Luke Braun is literally treading water as he records this. He's in like just standing floodwater in his home.
Yeah.
One of my favorite Sheldon Day plays, he didn't log a statistic. It was, I think, the Troy Dye tackle for loss. He held up on a double team. I think they were in Bear or something like that. So you had the three defensive linemen head up against guard, center guard. And Troy Dye got a tackle for loss because the three of them held up. And I thought that Sheldon Day did a really good job against a double team, even though that's just typically not the thing that he does. He doesn't do typically very well against double teams. And that was a big part of forcing the running back outside, which allowed Dye to make the tackle. So a bunch of really good stuff in addition to like the sack. But I'm gonna give my positive to Najee Thompson. Oh my God, this guy is so good at special teams. I don't know if you saw the all-22 of Thompson's like incredible tackle, but he just like it was like it's a two-person jam, and he just dusts them like he was born to be a punt gunner. This guy is incredible at this. I also thought that he continued playing past that play, so I don't know that he actually got the concussion on that play. Nor did it
they
look
said
like
he did though. Oh, KOC said
his helmet came off on that play. I'm gonna guess he got the concussion, but he just like didn't report.
He just didn't. Okay, I guess that makes more sense. Concussions are weird. It didn't look like his head took a ton of contact on that play, but his helmet did pop off. It's a kind of an Eric Hendricks thing. Don't worry about it. But I thought that he was spectacular as a special teamer.
Okay, positive for me. I thought that the play of Vidarian Lowe was really nice. I thought the play of Blake Brandel was really nice. And if you can count on at least a couple of your backup linemen to be reliable, especially the flexibility of Brandel, I think that makes Oli Udoh a little more expendable. And maybe we'll get to him in the negative portion of this little round table. But I thought that a couple of the backup offensive linemen were pretty serviceable. And then just secondly, I know Lewis Cine's getting knocked for tackling form, but he puts himself in positions really well. Like he gets to the spot so quickly. I think he's been pretty good in run fits. I think this is learned. Like I think this is something that he can learn, get better at, and improve on. And I like the way he's putting himself in those positions. So I'm actually going to go positive on Lewis Cine, even though he got posterized on the touchdown.
I can't go there.
No.
He's so inconsistent about the triggers, right? About getting where he needs to be. So there are times where he does a really phenomenal job getting into position very quickly, extraordinarily quickly, right? The stuff that we saw at Georgia, right? He had like another tackle earlier in the game that like it was astounding how quickly he got there. But he also is missing his coverage landmarks. I think he's late to trigger on what's happening with route combinations. I think that he doesn't always kind of know what his assignment is as a deep safety or even as a box safety. And so he's just like late to a lot of stuff. Like he needs to see something a second or third time before he like reacts correctly to it, which is just you're not going to get those opportunities in a game. And so for him to always kind of be reactively learning instead of proactively learning, that just bothers me. So like there's a lot of situations where he is Johnny on the spot. He's super quick in getting there. And then once he gets there, I don't know, maybe something will happen, which that's kind of annoying that we don't know whether or not something will happen. But there's other moments where he just isn't reacting quickly enough or doesn't understand what his assignment is. And it's really, really bothersome. Like even if we took that play out, and I don't think that we should necessarily take it out, but obviously it's just one play, right? Even if we took that play out, I would have given him a negative grade for the game he had some really great moments, but I just think that given what he's been asked to do and what he needs to do, he's not doing it more often than not.
How much of the reaction time
hard.
are you able to put into, okay, he's just rusty, he just hasn't played football? It seems like a lot of people want to give him the benefit of the doubt just because of some fan bias, and obviously you want
there are undrafted rookies who show up late that are reacting faster, in my opinion, than Lewis Cine. Like,
so I think he's hesitating. I think that it might be like a rust or like a confidence thing because he was out for so long.
Confidence.
I think he sees what he's supposed to see, and then he's late to trigger because he's not trusting it. Which is a different problem, a different nature of the same problem.
That's fair. I think,
but I disagree on the frequency too. I don't think it's happening more often than not.
Okay, I mean, fair enough. Based on what I saw in the all 22 of this game, I just thought he was just kind of late to a lot of stuff. But it's really difficult to diagnose safeties, like it just is. So yeah, I mean, that's fair.
There is a consistency to. I mean, he called out his own consistency, right? Like that's
fair. Yeah.
And I think it is.
We both agree it's inconsistent. It's about a frequency thing,
right? And whatever. But like
I will add
Luke
too
said, it's. I think it does have a little bit to do with the absence that he had, and just kind of getting back into trusting his eyes and trusting what he sees, like he did at Georgia so much. And maybe that'll come with time. I don't know. Maybe it won't.
My concern is this is the exact stuff I said about his rookie season in camp. When he was in camp, I literally said, like, hey, it's just about, it seems like he's diagnosing things correctly. It's just about trusting what he sees. Right? I said this like 3 or 4 times. And that's before his injury, right? So I don't know what mental impact the injury has. The problem is we're getting really close to, figure it out time, right? It's not about whether or not it's justifiable or the moral character of Lewis Cine. It's about who the Vikings should start and who the Vikings should have as their primary backup. And to answer that question, I don't think it's Lewis Cine at the moment. But there is the possibility, given what we
You don't think Lewis Cine should be safety 4?
Yeah, he should be safety 4 or 5. It depends on I don't think Jay Ward had a great game, but
okay.
But it depends on whether or not Jay Ward's a safety and whether or not, that kind of thing. But that to me is like, if we say like, hey, here are the 2 problems with Lewis Cine. 1, when he shows up, his tackling form isn't very good. 2, he can diagnose quickly and correctly, but he doesn't trust what he sees. If those are the 2 things, right? Both of those suggest to me that this is long-term fixable, right? And so it's not as if, maybe you're not going to get your value back for a first-round pick or anything like that, but it's not as if he can't turn into a valuable player for the franchise. But for the 2023 season, I just don't know if I'm that confident that Jay Ward is a worse player.
Wow.
I would
still
be pretty confident that Jay Ward is not better than Lewis Cine because I think he's experiencing some of the same problems. Also, I think the deadline on Cine is when Harrison Smith retires. When he retires, you got to be good. Otherwise, this is a catastrophe.
That's a huge. I agree with you, but how lucky is he? Like, that's a huge luxury that you have this huge window here. You're lucky,
and
I
don't think
you're right.
He's also lucky that the 5th round pick during the Zimmer era is playing well. He's lucky that Cameron Bynum is not forcing the issue.
Right. He's still a super high-end safety 4. I think it's just this is not first-round pick. You don't want to have these conversations in year 2 of a first-round pick.
How many safety 4? Like, is Lewis Cine going to be back on special teams? How many safety 4s can you not have on special teams? Like, it's tough to have a depth defensive back not on special teams.
He
was on special teams his rookie year, but when the thing happened. But
yeah, I can check this in the snap count, but did he play a lot of special teams in the game?
No,
I don't think so. Because he was playing every defensive rep.
Yeah,
they had only 3 active safeties the whole game. So
I don't see any special team snaps in the PFF preseason at all.
Okay, I'll just double check. Lewis Cine, I'm sure you're right. None.
Yeah. So if he's, obviously safety 3, Josh Metellus plays a lot of special teams, but if he's safety 4,
I know you're used to first round gunners, but it's time to move on from the Zimmer era.
All right.
It's tough. That's all I'm saying.
We hit on some of them already, but let's go with our 4 downs portion of the equation. Any other negatives you want to highlight, Inman?
It might be low-hanging fruit, but I'm going to call it out anyways, just because this was my biggest worry defensively all offseason. It was the run defense. And, you wake up Monday morning, the headline reads Titans rush for 281. I mean, watching them get bullied in the trenches, that wasn't fun. And I get it, you're watching backups, but I think it just adds some gas on the fire of my worst fears, which is they might get pushed around at the line of scrimmage again this year, potentially on both sides of the ball too. I mean, the offensive line play wasn't outstanding either for most of the night. And again, we just talked about Lewis Cine. I'm not talking about just the Lewis Cine missed tackle. That was only a 33-yard run. There was 250 more yards on the ground outside of that, and it just makes me really worried that if a starter or two were to go down at some point in the season, they might not have the depth to come in and not get exposed over an entire 4 quarters game by game. So, I know Sheldon Day had a great game. We talked about him, but the trench play, I think, just in general, top to bottom, that was rough to watch.
The return of Holdy Udo is a little rough. Back-to-back holding penalties and then later giving up back-to-back hideous sacks. Kind of a disaster class for a guy who might be in a competition with Vidarian Lowe, and I would say getting blown out by him.
16 penalties 2 years ago, by the way, for Udo, leading all offensive linemen in the league.
Holdy Udo.
I'd forgotten that little nugget.
Yeah.
That's got to be close to all offensive players in the league, right? I mean,
all players, period. Yeah.
Yeah.
It sucks because it felt like that there was like a reachy kind of habit that moving him back to tackle seemed to alleviate when he had to play at the end of last season. And it's back.
Here's Johnny.
Arif, be more negative.
I'm a little concerned about the depth at the offensive line in general. I think Blake Brandel played well. I think Vidarian Lowe played all right. But after that, I'm worried about Austin Schlottman after what we saw. Mind you, Tyler Tart had a lot of reasons to play like he did. So,
he didn't even get to go up against Bradbury. This is a shame. Right. They should have put him in for one drive just to settle the score.
But I don't love seeing people hammer slung out of the stadium. That's rough. And then we already talked about how disappointing the receivers were, but I wanted to see a lot more from one of the 3, Tristan Jackson, Brandon Powell, and Jalen Reagor. And I don't think we saw enough from them to feel comfortable that after that fairly good, week 1 from that group, that we've got some good resolution on kind of who wide receiver 4, 5, et cetera is going to be. So, or 5, 6 is going to be. So yeah, that's the concern. Assuming that Jalen Naylor is fine at wide receiver 4, which is fair, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's so difficult for my negative that they really can't get a gauge on this running offense at all. And, the run defense is a big concern off that game. And I don't think we can judge anything on the run offense because they don't have a fullback. They don't have a backup fullback rostered to at least simulate what they would do with CJ Ham. They don't have Oliver on the field. They don't have Munt on the field. They don't have Hawkinson on the field. So they don't have their tight ends. They don't have their fullback. And obviously they don't have the wide receivers to divert attention. So it's just hard to...
The tight ends blocked real well.
They did. In my opinion. Really good. And you're going up against second and third teamers too. But I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I thought the running backs played actually, 2.2 yards per carry, 3.0 yards per carry. I thought they played well. So I'll give them that, given what we saw. But yeah.
It's not a judgment against them at all. I didn't feel like Chandler had much to work with. I didn't think McBride had much to work with because they're just not set up to succeed in that facet from an efficiency standpoint. Maybe the coaching staff doesn't care. That's fine. If they don't care, they don't care. It's hard for us to get a gauge on what they're really trying to do with it because it's so vanilla.
Yeah, I think that they're just trying to keep it close to the chest with the fullback stuff. That's going to look a lot different than the run game was last year. It's one of the main things that if you're preparing for the Vikings and you're scouting, last year's tape, I feel like one of the main advantages that you'll have against a team doing that is that the run game is going to be schematically a lot different, and hopefully the other team can prepare for it. So makes sense that they wouldn't want to show that in the preseason.
Yeah, it'll benefit you against the Bucs, 100%. Maybe even the Eagles, and that happened against the Packers last year. The newer team or the newer scheme went out big time in that game, and then it wore off pretty fast.
Of Vikings media.
The Donatel scheme held up for exactly 1 week, and then the Eagles figured it out. All right. Quick word from FanDuel, then we're going to revisit our 53-man roster. We're brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, America's #1 sportsbook, and a great partner of ours here at Locked On. This is the promotion that we've been telling you about for a couple weeks now. You got to go check it out before the regular season begins. Pick a team to win the Super Bowl. Preferably, pick a team that's going to win like 14 games this year. And every time they win, you get bonus bets deposited straight into your account. And what do you do with those bonus bets? Well, you parlay those to over-unders, other prop bets, future bets, money lines. Put it on anything. There's dozens, hundreds of ways to wager on football at FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. FanDuel Sportsbook app, very safe, very secure, very easy to use, get paid instantly, and there's no better place to bet the NFL. Check it out today, FanDuel.com/LockedOn, FanDuel.com/LockedOn, the website to visit. Start earning bonus bets today. FanDuel, make every moment more. I'm going to read you guys off our 53-man roster that we put together in June at some point.
Jesus Christ. How many of these players have already been cut?
It is not entirely bad, but I think we might need to make some adjustments. I will go position by position.
You're such a positive coach, Sam.
Power of positive language.
We have things we can build on and things we have to work on.
Opportunities to improve.
Exactly. Yeah. They're not failures. They're not failures, guys. They're just
iron
like
sharpening iron
the
out here right now,
absence
guys.
of correctness. So our quarterback room, Cousins, Mullins, and Jaron Hall.
Good.
Comfortable with that.
Good.
Yeah.
No Jordan Ta'amu?
So too.
Overtake?
Practice squad, Jordan Ta'amu.
Beautiful.
4 quarterbacks.
Please.
Yeah. That I would do a dance, man.
Kwesi's got a little XFL crush, I think.
Hey, DC Defenders,
the
best team in the XFL.
Have, right? Like even under Spielman, they brought in AAF.
Spielman
guys.
plumbed the semi-pro leagues for sure. Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know if he did it more or less than other GMs, but
it's all
Carolina
DC Defenders, though, which is amazing.
Like Carolina and Pittsburgh love the developmental leagues way more than the Vikings do.
Running back room.
Things I know.
Madison, Wongwu, Chandler, McBride, Ham.
Okay,
there.
In terms of people who make the roster, yeah, but I think Chandler's probably going to take that running back 2 spot.
For sure.
I would agree.
Did we bother to put him in like an order on purpose?
No, we did not. These are not
it's just
by importance. They're just names. Yeah. We did not rank these players.
Any word on Kenny? You think he could potentially start on the pup? I mean, just save a roster spot? Things are going to get tight here with these
I think there
spots.
is a frustration with Kenny right now. I don't know if it extends into the regular season. I think it's just going to cost him a chance at the 2 job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Did we do this before Dalvin Cook got cut? Was that a call?
I think
so.
We all assumed.
We were very
we were
confident
assuming
that Cook was gone. Yeah. But we did not do it before Za'Darius Smith. Because we have Za'Darius Smith on here.
Oh, rough.
I think that was my bad.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's right.
because we did it position by position.
We
right?
have it, because we gave each other, we assigned positions. So we've got another one at safety where I think it was maybe Braun who like traded Cam Bynum. So that gets a little weird.
Wait, what?
I love it.
I think one of us was trying to be cute and traded Cam Bynum.
For
so we
what?
did not have.
Oh yeah, I did that.
Yeah, that was
because I needed to find a way to get a roster spot with. I figured, hey, we're real deep at safety. Let's flip him for picks.
Right, because because we went like top down and we didn't consult with each other, and so it's like, I get 10 offensive linemen, and later it's like I've got 2 safeties I can roster.
Yeah,
we have.
I got to get rid of one of these guys.
So I picked offensive linemen and linebackers. I remember that, and I remember saving a spot from last year on offensive line.
Yeah, sure, whatever you say, man.
Yeah. Pull up the tape.
If only we had a record of what we ended up selecting.
First debate. We have Hawkinson, Oliver, Munt, and Muse. We have Muse on the team. I think it's a conversation.
I like it.
It's so 50-50 right now. Like it feels like look, he's not gonna overtake Johnny Mutt, but him earning a fourth tight end spot, I still don't think is out of the question at all.
So the Vikings used so many tight ends in this preseason game. I just think that they are a tight end heavy. That's just what they're gonna be.
Yep.
Right. And so to me, I mean, obviously because the practice squad's an extension, you can, but I just think that I would bias myself towards having 4 tight ends. I think almost every 53 man that I've put together has 4 tight ends. So that's
here's the question then: how good is Nick Muse on special teams?
Seems all right. I haven't noticed.
Is he good enough?
Plays. Yeah. Okay. I don't know.
I
haven't noticed anything concerning. Yeah.
We're going to keep him then. Wide receiver: Jefferson, Osborne, Addison, Naylor, Knowles, and Powell.
I think that was me.
That's a Sam. Oh, that was a Reef?
That might have been me. Same thing, just cut the guy who got cut.
So Knowles is gone. Do we substitute in for him with a Tristan or a Rager?
No, we.
I would say no because we're at 27 on offense.
See, I think you cut on the offensive line. I don't think you cut at wide receiver.
Well,
I already went down 1, right? They kept 10 last year on O-line. I only picked 9. Are you going down to 8?
I think we should have 9. 8 would concern me a lot.
5, 6,
8's insane.
I think if you do 8,
you're right.
You have extra on the practice squad.
I already saved
away
1
with that
on the O-line from last year.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you generally only have 8 active, but that still concerns me.
Although, if we're talking about just the best 53 guys, I think you can make a case.
No roster's constructed like that. They always say that. It's never constructed like that.
Dare to be different. Let's do it.
8
So
receivers and 3 offensive linemen.
2016 should have just rolled in with nobody at O-line.
So Rager, Dunn, and Tristan practice squad, is that the goal?
And you're keeping Powell?
Yeah.
Because he was the only punt returner on Saturday against the Titans, right? Does that mean that's over?
No, probably not. It's the way they handle this stuff is weird.
After
I think Powell is a lock. I'm going to declare that competition.
Is that because of the way Kevin O'Connell has talked about him?
And Wes Phillips.
And just the way
watching
he's looked, right?
with my eyes.
It's interesting because Rager is still like above him on the depth chart in the way that they give these guys reps.
And here's what's intriguing too. KOC got up to the podium and said, yeah, we might have to keep 6 of these guys. I don't know. So if they're thinking it, who knows? They
He's not doing the math up there, though.
I did the math up there, Jerry.
He's like, because what? How many beat reporters ask the follow-up question? And this is not like a dig on beat reporters because it's kind of a dumb question. But like, how many of them are like, all right, who you cutting? What position goes down?
All right, then how many tight ends are you keeping?
Yeah, right. Exactly. That would be weird, right? But it's just like so you could just say that in that environment and be like, I love our receivers, man. We might have to keep 7. I don't know.
Hey, North Turner, call up North Turner. We're keeping 7.
And no one's going to be like, what? So that's like 3 tight ends and 8 offensive line. No one's doing that, right? That's just so it's.
Did they keep 7 when Chisena was taking up roster spots?
They might have.
They've kept
Definitely
7
kept
at
6.
some point. It might have been Chisena.
Yeah, I know. What's funny
and then
is
they
that,
used 2.
If you look at like the historical Rams rosters under like McVay, there have been instances where coming out of camp, the initial 53 has 4 receivers, and other rosters where the initial 53 coming out of camp has 7. So it's like, okay, I get none of this matters.
Right. All right, so we're keeping 5. We're not keeping 6,
5.
Even though KOC
dropping.
basically admitted, hey,
good, excellent. Okay. This allows us to buy Cameron Bynum back. I'm comfortable with that.
So we are cutting Jalen Rager, and we're cutting
I had to do
for
something,
Cameron
man.
Bynum, which I think makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, you gotta put Tristan Jackson on ice. Then hide him. Don't let other teams get the film. Just don't because
I am not concerned about that one bit.
Okay,
him getting
I'm
sniped.
concerned.
You're saying you're not concerned about that?
Yeah, I'm not like. He's great. I would love for him to be on the practice squad. I'd prefer for him to be on the practice squad. I don't see teams sniping him.
Okay.
All right.
If someone wants to put him on their 53, if you love something, let it go. Good for him. That's an opportunity he deserves.
That is so just uplifting. What a message. All right. Offensive line. Ezra Bradbury. This is interior. Ezra Bradbury, Ingram, Chris Reed, Austin Schlottman.
I guess we're not counting Blake Brandel as an interior.
See, at the time, we thought he was a
We did.
tackle.
Yeah, we
so
didn't know that yet.
so
Which
take
I
out
think that will be his job.
Well,
in
yeah.
the regular
there's so much
season.
versatility with like Udo and Blake Brandel. Just say them all together. Who are the who's the full 9?
Yeah,
So
just-
the,
yeah,
the
the full
other
9
four:
line.
Darissa, O'Neal, Brandel, and Udo.
Yeah,
Okay.
cut Udo and keep
Is
Fidarian.
Chris Reed alive?
One assumes.
Chris Reed
I mean,
is technically there's a
I don't-
man in a
I don't trust your
62
assumptions about
jersey.
that at all.
There's a
Yeah.
pulse.
Have we heard of a tweak yet?
Yeah. Like, is that going to be somebody that starts out on a pup of some kind?
Yeah, we've got no updates.
Definitely
on this
seems
guy.
probably.
I think for now, I'm gonna put him. It makes me feel better that they have guards. So for now, I'm just gonna assume, and if he's not healthy by this time next week, we should just assume he's pup. But for now,
Reed was buried on that team issued depth chart, which usually with veterans you wouldn't do.
press.
So that seems like a
Or
message.
I
that-
feel like they just kind of plopped him at the bottom as a footnote and like, by the way, he's still here. He's on NFI.
yeah.
I don't care about that.
Okay, so we're
So we're getting rid of
Reed.
Udo.
What Troy Dye and Troy Reed were both ahead of Ivan Pace on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not real.
Low for Udo, remove Reed, and 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we still have 9. We good with that? Josh Sokol. Anyone want to lobby for Josh Sokol?
No.
If you do, I think you're cutting Schlotman for him because he's he's had some struggles in the preseason. I don't know if things are that extreme yet, but my eyes are on it.
I liked Sokol for a couple days there. I thought he was the trending upward, but I'm okay leaving him off. So we've got 26 offense. Move to defense. Hunter, Davenport, Za'Darius Smith, Patrick Jones. I would lobby for Luigi Villain in this group.
So
edge.
no Wanham?
I mean, Wanham's hasn't even played in the preseason. He's making the team.
Well, you just added a roster spot by cutting Knowles, so I think we use that for Wanham and
we're
Villain.
using that for buying him, aren't we?
No, well, Za'Darius Smith is off the team too. I
Yeah,
don't think
so
he
you
should
just
still be a
get
part
rid
of
of
our
Za'Darius.
53-man prediction for the Vikings.
Yeah, you just get rid of Za'Darius, you add Wanham, and then
I
you
mean,
figure out from there. if you
and
want
then we
to-
decide about Luigi Villain, which is another tough one. He's like in the Nick Muse world for me, where it's like, man, I could see it, but I could also see it not happening.
I think he's
I don't
slightly
think-
above 50-50. They kept him last year, which was the biggest surprise of the entire 53 last year. They kept
That's fair,
5 total. So I think they're going to keep him again. He hasn't shown any signs, at least in the preseason and camp, things like that. It make me think, all right, maybe he won't make it this year. So if they kept him last year, I think they're definitely keeping him this year.
It's different roster math, yeah, which is the reason it would be if he does get cut this time, because I agree he's only gotten better for sure. But
Who is more likely to
different
get
group.
sniped, Nick Muse or Luigi Villain?
Villain, I would
Villain.
think.
Do you think?
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Edge rushers, a little bit more premium. Tight ends, I don't know. Yeah, just my gut. I'd say Luigi.
One was a draft pick. That's all I'm saying.
Damn.
Yeah, 7th round pick a year ago. I don't know how much that goes for.
Yeah,
I think you can save a
undrafted
spot
pick
at
a year ago. I
interior
don't know how much
D-line.
that goes for.
You think we could go with 5 on the interior, Sam?
I feel
do.
comfortable with that. We could the problem is we're getting rid of like players like TJ Smith and Sheldon Day who deserve strong maybe, but like
I think there's like a
Consideration.
really easy chalk 4 and then Jaquel and Roy. And then there's like
Yeah,
kind of a,
Yeah,
so you're getting rid of
that's
Bullard,
basically
you're
it.
getting rid of Assezi.
yeah.
yeah,
you're getting rid of Ross?
They're all
Well, what was
equal
our
in
group?
my mind.
Yeah, I don't know if I could keep 5 here. I
they're
think
not
I gotta
all
keep
equal to
6.
me. Ross is got to go.
Okay, that's 1.
Blacklock, but that wasn't even on our list. This is our list.
Yeah.
Phillips, lock. Lowry, lock. Tonga, lock. Then you've got Bullard, Roy, and I'm now doubting myself on the pronunciation. Otamewo.
I just the way Paul Allen pronounces it is so
He did-
different.
That was
It's
not
Homo Woo. He's like
correct. I don't
Yeah.
think there's a
adding a U in it.
Love Paul though.
I think you have to. I think Assesi's actually looking a little bit better than what a lot of people have been saying. This is tough.
I think
'Cause I really
six
like-
bodies.
I really
It's
like
weird.
what TJ Smith has put together, but there's no way he makes the roster.
Mm-hmm.
that feels like a great way to earn a practice squad slot and play like 2 random games where you're perfect for the game plan. Like the Patriots, Danny Shelton.
Like the Danny Shelton. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I think TJ Smith and Sheldon Day are in direct competition for exactly that spot.
Yeah. All right. So are we doing 5? Because I'm comfortable cutting Bullard. And it's just a question of whether it's a Sezi or I don't know, Sheldon Day. Right?
I'm okay cutting Bullard as well.
Been second team Davenport. He's been playing outside and inside.
Yeah.
Which might be a consideration of, okay, that's just like a job he has and he's not actually in as much competition with like Bullard.
All right, well, let's keep this the same except cutting Bullard and adding Villain. I think that's the easiest way to do this.
I would agree with you. Okay. So then we've got Asamoah, Hicks, Pace, and Reader. I would swap Reader out.
That to die.
Yeah.
Reader did not have a great Saturday night. There's a faller for you. Went in with the 3s and had some rough moments.
Yeah.
You want to talk about 280 yards? I put a good amount of that on.
Yeah,
Reader
he was
Beauplan.
Not reading his keys there. Jesus.
Not readering him.
And now
that's bad.
Yeah.
And now we got to find.
I hope the earthquake comes back for you, Luke.
Me too. I deserve that. That was rough.
This is all your fault. You've upset Mother Nature. Murphy.
Yeah, well, LA in general has upset Mother Nature, and that's fair.
It's
fair
time immemorial.
Murphy, Booth, Evans, Blackman, Jawan Williams at corner.
Can we cut Booth Evans, for Najee Blackman. Thompson?
That'd be spicy.
What are you going to do with Najee? Practice squad.
Najee is so far and away the best gunner on the team that it feels like there's no way
Booth for Najee Thompson.
Like there's no way you go into it and you're like, yeah, but Booth will be fine.
We can't keep 6.
We are like up against it roster pressure.
We don't even have Bynum on yet, and we're out of roster.
Yeah, we can
spots.
keep Thompson if we don't get Bynum
back. Let's go back here for a second. Well,
but hey,
if we trimmed a D lineman, right?
And we added Villain. We added Villain and trimmed Bullard.
We didn't have Villain. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought we bought the Bynum spot.
But we also didn't have Za'Darius. Or Za'Darius is gone though. So we added Villain, but we lost Za'Darius.
No, we didn't have Wanham.
We didn't have Wanham on that.
Mm-hmm.
So we have currently an open spot we can use to bring Cam Bynum back to this roster.
Right.
But we do not have 2, so we can't also bring Najee Thompson back without cutting someone else.
Yeah. So
by 12, 17, 26, and then we've got 5. I
can't imagine listening to this podcast.
14, 19. Terrible. Okay.
I
Bad
would lobby for cutting Jawan Williams over Booth as much as it's fun to be spicy and get rid of Booth.
Who would you rather have playing corner?
I can't cut Jawan. Yeah, I can't cut Jawan.
Based on the preseason, Booth has outplayed Jawan Williams, I think.
What?
I mean, Jawan did have a bad game. I just don't know about that.
No.
I just don't know about that.
I
know.
If we're keeping one, we're keeping both.
I did see your tweet about the cover one dig thing, and I kind of disagree with what you can ask Booth to do and get away with and how quickly he drives. I think that might help drive some of our perception of the two. But
that's only one rep. I think it's also it's that Booth has had. If you call that a bad rep, that's fine. That's his only one that's one rep. And I don't think that it's necessarily fair to him to judge him entirely on his worst rep of each night.
Sure.
Especially because it didn't keep happening where like Jawan Williams gave up like a 60-yard run because he didn't fit it right.
Jawan had a bad game. I do think that week 1 Booth was more than just like one bad rep. I think it was more than that touchdown. I thought he was consistently making mistakes.
I guess I didn't see him then because I literally looked at the rest of it. There was like one time where he gave up a little bit of separation, but I wasn't too mad at it. And then the rest of it seemed fine to me.
Well, Booth had that big whiff on the boundary on that run play outside too, as well.
There's a missed tackle. Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, I would say I'm more comfortable given Jawan Williams's better training camp in week 1. I would rather keep Williams than Booth. And yeah, I would cut Booth for Najee Thompson.
Or we roll with 8 linemen. Keep them both. We get Najee on there.
You guys, you're going to put Najee on the roster.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No.
What do you mean no?
What do you mean?
Dad's home.
If you love him, let him
Dad's
go.
home.
Let another team claim him if they want that.
Matt
Give him the
Daniels
practice
is going
squad.
to find your
Sam,
house.
Sam, quick question. Do you want to be great or not?
I don't want to be
Throw the
great,
boat.
no.
All three phases, they matter.
All three phases.
Look, ultimately, when you're talking about cornerbacks 5 and 6, these guys aren't getting on the field. They're here for what they do on special teams.
Yeah, I've got a tough time finding that roster spot.
I just told you where it was.
Yeah.
Where is it?
It's
It's
we're
Andrew
debating
Booth.
over two different feasible places to put that roster spot.
Look, Sam.
So, okay,
I'm so
am I going to get
long
outvoted on this?
snapper?
I'm
Who's
so
our backup
committed to
long
Najee
snapper?
Thompson that
Pick
I'm
up the
willing
long
to
snapper.
give up the Joanne Williams Andrew Booth debate. Fine.
I
cut Joanne
also am
Williams.
willing to. I think you would be genuinely insane to let another team get him and just accept the blow to your special teams that represents.
Here's a question for you, Sam. Who has been what's the best team in the NFL over the past 20 years?
Patriots.
It's the Patriots. Are you familiar with Matthew Slater?
Yeah, nice little player.
How many receptions does he have?
Chris Walsh vibes.
How many receptions does Matthew Slater have? Do you think they ask him to play receiver?
Two receptions.
Put Najee Thompson on the roster.
Can Ryan Wright kick? I mean, like field goal.
He's just looking for extra spots. Hey, look, Austin Schlottman, he could snap it further than that, right?
Paula, you're out.
This is what I prefer.
This is tough, guys. I think the whole point of this is so tough. And
Luke,
we didn't even have
you're
six
the tiebreaker
receivers.
on all of these. I think you get to pick
Luke,
a side, and that's what's happening here.
Luke, cut Joanne Williams or Andrew Booth, and we can bully Sam to getting Najee Thompson on the roster.
I'll cut
Luke,
Booth.
just put Najee Thompson on the practice squad and then elevate him.
if he's
just let it work itself out. Someone will get hurt. You can elevate him a million times.
Wait a minute. Let's put
You
Kene
can't
on
actually
let's
elevate
put
him in
Kene,
there are rules
let's
against
put
that.
Kene on the pup because he's probably headed there anyways. Let's put Kene on the pup or Naylor and let's just bump up.
Cowards,
Let's keep
all of you,
two them.
unwilling to
I
make.
think if we do that, Chris
unwilling
Reed's
to make
probably the
tough
best
choices.
move.
Okay.
Unwilling to.
I
make
thought we
tough
already
does.
did, but okay.
No,
Oh,
Reed's
did we
already
already?
gone. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think Naylor or Kene going on the pup and we got room for all of them. There you go. Done.
That's so cowardly.
That's
Hey, we're down to 25 on offense.
That's what's going to happen.
It's a normal offense.
Play this back if we still have the footage.
Well, look,
Play
okay,
it back.
one or all of them could end up on the pup, but the Vikings are just going to add guys at those positions.
I don't think necessarily at running back because we already have like more
Maybe
than,
not
we
at
have
running
4
back,
backs,
although they
yeah.
did like sign like 3 more.
Same
So,
with
like,
receiver. Like they're just going to bump up Tristan Jackson or whoever.
So who are we pupping officially?
Kene or Naylor.
I think it's
Kene.
got to be Kene because if you pup
you
Naylor,
go.
then you've got 4 receivers, and then you got to add a 5th. I think.
Yeah, so you don't actually save a roster spot that way.
There you go.
Pupping Kene. All right.
Great.
Yeah.
Took the coward's way out.
I appreciate the cowardly approach, Inman. Well done. Good job.
That's the Bill Belichick way, actually.
Very
I
third way
can't
centrist.
believe Sam was like scoffing at the idea of adding a special teams player only when that's
Sam,
what
you're
the
like the
Vikings
last
have been.
holdout on this.
The Vikings have been doing that as well as most other teams for like decades. Like
I'm sorry
it's
that I'm
so
not
weird.
enamored by they were two great splash plays, but I watched this
4.
for 2 years with Jasenna. He brought no value.
Okay, but here's
Guess how
the thing,
many
Jasenna
punts Najee
couldn't
Thompson has
complete the
played.
tackle.
Chris Boyd.
Right? Like imagine somebody with Jasenna's ability to get down the field and then make the play.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Something
I
else,
tweeted
too.
that. I agree with that assessment so far.
No,
of
it's not
Thompson.
even a fair comparison because the problem with Jasenna was not that he was taking up a roster spot. It's that he was bad at taking up a roster spot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Najee
and it
Thompson
seems
is good at
this
his
seems
job.
fairly volatile to me. This whole like making the open field
Oh, I'm sorry. I
tackle
just
and
looked at
beating.
a Reefs fantasy totals this week. Holy
Yeah, that's
smokes,
pretty rough.
dude.
Let's move on before I get buried any
Holy
further
smokes.
in this argument.
He picked up N'Keal
Self-preservation.
Harry, and he didn't even dress. Oh, no.
That's rough, man. Do I get to sign
horrible
people
beat.
again?
So unlucky, dude. That's
Do
so
we have
unlucky.
another waiver period, Sam? Can I
Yes.
sign
Yeah, I
that
think we
new
do.
running back?
We do. So preseason fantasy teams, we drafted them back in June, and Arif. Oh, and first of all, we decided on what happens. The winner in our regular season gambling contest will be permitted 1 week where they can trigger a profit boost. They can double their profit.
Only if they win.
Only if they and should it be that they have their losses? You have your losses or double your wins. Either whatever happens.
I like it.
Okay.
So it's just it's a 1 week thing.
A 1 week thing, and that person also can choose for the loser, which is right now Arif. They can trigger 1 week where the loser will have their profits and double their losses.
Sure.
Either or, whichever happens.
I'm actually pretty glad that I'm not involved in being in first or last place because I'll forget about this instantly.
Perfect.
These are the standings. Luke Inman, you won the week. You won the week with Rager, Powell, Carter, and McBride, who scored a touchdown, amassing you 18. I was hot in your tail, 17.8 with Chandler, Muse, big game, Villain, and Thayer Thomas. Arif Hassan got 3 points from Troy Dye. That's it.
Man.
Thanks, man.
That's it.
Even with the interception?
Luke Braun, you distanced yourself from
crazy.
last, which is really all you needed to do. You had a nice week with Ben Sims, actually, your leading point getter.
Yeah. Big high point catch.
I'm gonna check this Troy Dye math real quick.
I know. It never seems real, does it? It never seems
But
accurate,
an interception and one tackle? That can't be right. Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Check it out. I could be wrong. I'll update it. I'll update the total because I'm doing this live and
2 tackles and an interception, and we don't count PDs, right? That's not part of the.
Doesn't look
we
like
do
it.
not count that. No.
Yeah. Okay.
2 tackles, so 8.3 is your new total. Thank you.
How is that not a TFL? God.
Okay. Waiver time. Last place gets a chance to add a player that has been put on the team since we drafted. Eligible for waivers right now. Jacob Copeland, Aaron Dykes, Tanner Vallejo, who did not play one defensive rep, by the way, in the game. Colin Thompson, Kene Wongwu, who was dropped.
Why is
earlier.
Tanner on there twice?
I have no idea.
Once on defense, once for special teams.
And hey, Malik Knowles is eligible as well.
Because he was dropped, right?
Right.
For N'Keal Harry, huge upgrade.
A pregame aggravation
Huge.
kept him out.
I can't believe it, man. He had every opportunity to be the only receiver worth anything on that field, too,
I
given how
know.
the other ones performed.
Mhm.
And everybody was going nuts before the game. Like, oh, dude, he's locked in. He's going to make the
It's his
team.
moment. It's his moment.
He's going to make the team. No, he was hurt. That's what happened.
I think I have to go. I think I have to pick Aaron Dykes, right? There's no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drop Madison.
Easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, in theory, I could have been like, Colin Thompson got some and Johnny Munt didn't. Might as well. But
No. Running backs are your money makers here, I feel like.
Ron, you
So
are
I'm-
next in the order.
So I'm not allowed to pick up, even though nobody has him, Blake Prohl. Is that the rules here?
That would be that is the rule because he was eligible for you to pick the first
I
time
could have
around.
drafted him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so I got something out of Addison, but it's over now. So that's an easy drop for Jacob Copeland, I guess. The only eligible receiver I can take, right?
Yep. Luke Inman, you had a chance to drop Josh Oliver for Colin Thompson. That would have helped a lot.
Yeah, that was sad. That was really sad. But
Can do it now.
not going to make that mistake twice. And now you can rest assured Josh Oliver will go off in this third preseason game. Doesn't make any sense.
Third preseason.
Why is he in here? Doesn't make any sense. But yes, give me a new tight end. Let's drop Josh Oliver for Colin Thompson.
Can you remove the strikeout on Aaron Dykes? This feels like bad juju to me.
I'm trying really hard. Guys,
We had this last week.
We
didn't
went through this last week. I don't know. I'll figure it out later.
Copy and paste format. Okay, whatever.
I don't know all these fancy Excel spreadsheet tricks. All
First
right.
of all, it's Google Sheets, but
Thanks, Bard, Mr. AI over there.
Is anything Arif knows, it's Google Sheets.
I don't think I'm touching my team. I mean, I guess I could switch Chandler. I mean, I'm not going to switch Chandler. Wangu's hurt. Not going to switch Villain for Vallejo. Yeah,
you're
I'm sticking to my guns. I'm going with the guys that got me here. Lucky Jackson, I think, is going to have a big game. And he might be catching passes from Jordan,
yeah.
Ta'amu. Luke Braun, tell us about this guy. Vikings have signed a new quarterback.
I think he was like offensive player of the year in the XFL.
Yeah, last
DC
year.
Defenders QB threw up passes to Lucky Jackson, so it'd be a reunion.
Chemistry.
Along with Abram Smith, they were all DC Defenders, which was far and away the best team in the XFL, and then they choked it away in the championship.
Yeah.
So he'll fit right in.
Yeah, perfect Viking.
Perfect.
Yeah.
He is like a spring league mainstay. He has been in all of them.
He's so good at spring leagues.
Yeah,
He's
like
so
he
good at
really
them.
stands out. He's a runaround QB. He could be a lot of fun if he does end up getting some reps. As we were recording, Andrew Kramer tweeted out, I don't know if this is a quote from O'Connell or just like a thing or just like a report, but he tweeted that Jaren Hall's going to get a lot of reps against the Cardinals. So that maybe Mullins won't play. And maybe Jaren Hall will either play the whole game or maybe you get a fourth quarter with Ta'amu. But otherwise, the plan for him might just be to be the guy doing handoffs and handoff drills.
Yeah. Ta'amu was very good in the USFL. I would say probably the AAF is the only league where he didn't immediately place himself as one of the top 3 quarterbacks. But yeah, I mean, he's been spectacular in those showings, and always thought that so I was talking to somebody who does draft analytics work. I mean, currently he now works for an FBS team, but he was providing consultation for NFL teams, and Jordan Ta'amu ranked like really highly coming out. He also said it's a quarterback, so the analytics or whatever, but it was always something that was like really intriguing to me.
I really like his pressure to sack rate in the XFL. 10.8%. Second best behind Ben DiNucci.
He's a runaround guy.
Nooch.
Scramble.
Hey, scramble guys usually have really poor pressure to sacks, unless you're Mahomes. So props to Ta'amu for being a scramble guy without having a high pressure to sack ratio.
He'll probably be playing on Saturday against the Cardinals, who come to a sweltering Twin Cities. If you're not local, I mean, the forecast is literally triple digits. Maybe Wednesday, maybe Thursday. It's kind of been fluctuating a little bit, but it's going to be really hot. I'm looking at this Cardinals roster for joint practice purposes. I think the Vikings need to decide who they want to trade for at the deadline. Like, this is going to be a selling team. Who can you poach off this team? Can you butter up the GM a little bit? Try to build some equity. There's not a lot of star power, Luke Inman, on this Cardinals roster.
No, not at all. In fact, you think about the Titans' defensive line, just how dominant they were, one of the better defensive lines in the NFL. You go from that to maybe the worst defensive line in the entire NFL. Can you guys name 2 of the defensive linemen on the Cardinals, by the way? There's a fun game.
Oh, well, I just Googled it, so I'll say
maybe is he maybe a linebacker, outside linebacker? Isn't Zaven Collins on the team?
He's a linebacker. He's not an outside linebacker.
Edge.
He's just... Yeah.
He's interior.
He's just a linebacker.
I thought he was edge.
I mean, they might move him around.
He's listed, at least on like our lads, as left outside linebacker in the same structure that where like Daniil Hunter is on ours.
Yeah. So it's tough. LJ Collier from Seattle. I think he was a 2nd or 3rd round pick. I remember for Pete Carroll, 3-4 years ago. He didn't really
first round pick.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a 1st round pick?
Yeah, he's a 1st round pick. Yeah, no, he was. I remember.
He was one of those like, what are Seattle doing?
Yes.
Because he was like a 3rd round prospect.
Totally. Yeah. But, again, going from the Titans defensive line that dominated the Vikings interior, even outside the one viral clip where Bradbury just got steamrolled. But then you go to the maybe, arguably, for sure, bottom 3 worst defensive line in the league. So how much more improved, I guess, does this interior line specifically look? I think this will be a good litmus test to see kind of where they stand with such a stark contrast from one defensive line to the next. Because if they don't look remarkably better versus this Cardinals defensive line, maybe in serious trouble up front. Kwesi could have Dalton Reisner up on that speed dial before the week is over.
Yeah, well put. This receiving core for the Cardinals it looks about as weak as the Titans after they lost Burks. I mean, Hopkins, obviously, and I don't know if Hopkins looked phenomenal in joints either, but they had Hopkins and then a bunch of, Nick, Westbrook, Akina. And I think the Cardinals might be worse at wide receiver. So it's another test for your secondary just to not get beaten for 2 days.
A possible wild one if you're looking for people to poach off of Arizona if they're going to be sellers. Mm-hmm. He's had a phenomenal preseason, so I don't know if they're going to get rid of him, but I'll try it. Yelda Froholt, the Danish.
Yelta?
Yeah, he's playing at center really, really well for them, but they also have a 4th-round rookie at center and old friend Pat Elflein, so they're kind of deep there. I wonder if they'd be willing to part with him in what is absolutely a dead year.
I would imagine not. Also, if he's playing center, that's a really tall center.
Yeah,
I would imagine not. He's interesting. He's super athletic. He's super big for a center. He's bounced around a little bit, right? Because I think he was a Patriot.
He has
Brown. Yeah. But I would imagine not. He's still got probably upside. I don't know if he's 26. I know he was an older prospect when he was in college. So I don't know if he's 26 or 25 or 27. But I would imagine that because of his upside, they'll probably keep him around. I think they've also got a draft pick there. So
maybe they'll give us Pat Elflein.
Yeah, it's so funny. I was golfing
Hernandez
with Sam just this past weekend, and I literally turned and asked him, I go, is Pat Elflein still in the league? Where is he at now? Okay.
Coming home.
He's on the Cardinals. Okay.
No.
Some of these rookies, I mean, you mentioned how weak the wide receiver group is. Michael Wilson still intrigues me a little bit. He looked pretty clean down at the Senior Bowl from Stanford. He just couldn't stay healthy. Played 4 games in 2 years, his final 2 years for the Stanford Cardinals. But Owen Pappo, Sam, our original draft crush back in February, Bruce Feldman's freak list, one of the top 3 guys on that freak list from Auburn, the linebacker B.J. Ojulari from LSU. So a couple rookies to kind of hone in on, I think, during this preseason game. And, of course, joint practices as well.
What happened to Garrett Williams?
NFI, it appears.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
That's too bad.
Oh, David Blau. Okay.
He's coming home.
Where hasn't that dude been?
Bring him home, baby.
Emotional reunion.
Immaculate grid.
Yeah. TJ Hawkinson's favorite couple games here, or a couple practices.
So Zach Ertz is still a Cardinal. How long is that going to last? I mean, that's trade candidate
I
number
think that
1.
I don't know how many buyers you have just because of how old he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they like Trey McBride, the rookie from last year. They really like him.
Colt McCoy, starting quarterback this week.
Goodness. All right.
Ew. So that's coming up Wednesday and Thursday. I think it might be actually a pretty entertaining couple days. Hot, intense. Guys are surly.
Who will Bradbury fight this time?
Yeah.
Oh, Chris Boyd?
Now
Chris
Boyd.
Revenge game,
team's
baby.
gunner drills are going
Najee
to
versus
be
Boyd.
watch.
Najee probably won't participate, honestly, if he's in the concussion
Get him
protocol.
in there. Come on.
You're fine. Take a Tylenol.
Ask as many Cardinals players that you can about whether or not it's the heat or the humidity that gets you, right? Because now,
yeah, compare the dry heat
desert
to the climate here in the Twin Cities.
Hey, what's the hidden agenda about this humidity, man?
You know what's actually going to temper it a little bit? I don't think there's fans this week. I think
there are at the joint practices. No,
are there?
That'd be crazy if there wasn't, but yeah, I guess I haven't heard either way.
Because the Cardinals joints were not listed on the original training camp schedule.
Hmm.
And I'm not sure if they have fans this week. The training camp portion might be done. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think you might be right.
I think I might be right. And there is kind of a performative nature to these joint practices where you're competing for the fans. The special teams gunner drills, the fans are literally cheering with every rep. And if you lose that, you probably lose a little bit of the juice. But we'll see. We'll be out there. We'll have reports.
You are wrong.
I am wrong.
There will be fans. Ed
you.
McDaniel and Scott Studwell will be signing autographs, followed by Paul Krause and Dave Osborne, if you want to get an autograph from those guys.
Well, how about that?
That's pretty cool.
Forget everything I said. It's going to be lit. And we'll have the full report on Thursday about how it all went down on the Minnesota football party with Arif, Luke, and Ron Johnson that day as well. Thanks a lot for listening and watching. Comment below, what do you think about our 53-man roster projection that we devised with Najee Thompson on the roster? Follow Luke Inman on Twitter at Luke_Spinman. Luke Braun, Locked On Vikings host, at Luke Braun NFL. Arif Hassan, at Arif Hassan NFL. And I'm at Sam Ekstrom. We appreciate it. Please comment, please subscribe, and we will talk to you next time on the Minnesota Football Party.